What's up, guys? It's TRT77, and I have my week 1 game of EDC Season 9 with you right now, and we play Koala. If you do not know who Koala is the GOAT. He's an OG, really nice dude, really good player, a lot more offensive than a lot of the players in EDC, generally speaking, and not who I wanted to face week 1, I'm gonna be honest. My team is really built to match up well into balanced teams, and I end up playing the other team and the other player who's actually quite offensive on this place. But looking into the matchup, obviously he has a quite threatening offensive lineup with Gengar, Dam, Haxorus, Megalopony as well, and he does have the HO component to this team with Velux being able to set up Veil. He also has a little bit of random bulk between Blastoise and Umbreon. Obviously, Blastoise can also run Shell Smash. Rotom was always good utility, but I don't really see it coming against my team with Thundurus there being able to pretty much set up on it always. So, going into our team, I think first of all, shout out Tago, shout out Sala, and shout out Zank for the help with the build. Tago's suggestion was the Manaphy. Also, before I go into this, all my Mons are going to be named this season after Chennai Super King players, and if you're in the 99% of people watching this not named Septile side, that's a cricket team in a cricket league in India. So Choice Scarf Manaphy, I think the speed tier is just really good here, especially considering he has Darmanitan and Haxorus and Velux. It has a number of Mons that really don't deal with the base 100 Scarfer well, plus Manaphy having the natural bulk innately, just being able to take a hit, whether it's from Gengar or Dam. You can always come in and do some extra damage, and I think late game having Psychic is pretty good into this team. Also, just being able to reclaim momentum every time with U-turn is just so good with this Mon. Next up, we have the set that Sala built. It's a pretty standard Kartana Choice Scarf set. I do believe he has to be Scarf Gengar in this matchup, because I just don't think he has a way of revenging Kartana otherwise. Because it's just, I do realize that defensively his team is quite hard to just click one move and sweep, but I feel like in the late game it always becomes an issue. And I think in this meta game in general, Kartana losing so many of its checks has just made it so good. It's almost like a shoe-in to come every week and can just be the same set and it'll just do well. Next up, we have Pangoro, which abuses the living crap out of Umbreon. I swear, every time Umbreon comes in, this thing's gonna get a sub. We do not really care about foul play. It would take getting to -2 defense to actually break sub with foul play. And honestly, his team does not particularly switch in well to Scrappy CC. We do have Gunk Shot as well for the Grand Bull, and we're immune to Intimidate with Scrappy. And Gengar also just really, even though it's a resisted hit, Gengar is too frail to really take a CC. Next up, we have Uxie. Now, this was a Mon I debated for a while, but we really needed rocks in this matchup. With Darmanitan, with the number of Mons that it could chip, rocks was so vital in this matchup. And I think Uxie being Helmet, pretty standard, just takes a hit from Lop, takes a hit from Dam, just does a little bit of chip. I think Future Sight is quite good into his team. I have Encore there mainly because Uxie, and this is something Sala pointed out, was kind of gets abused by Bronzong otherwise. But I thought, having Encore on there would really help with, if Bronzong's coming in to set free rocks and it thinks it's getting free rocks, I can just Encore it and then force a switch or gain momentum. Especially if I'm forcing a switch and then flicking U-turn, it's just so good for me just to get my positioning right. And I think rocks hurt him infinitely more than they hurt me. Rocks being on the field for him suck way more than they do for me. For me, it's basically just the only Mon on this team taking 12% on Manaphy and Uxie, and I just do not care. Up next, we do have Thundi T. So his ground type is a Sandslash, and it is really hard for me to resist the urge to bring probably what is now the second best, or probably the best electric type in the format with all the Mons lost. And I just think that Thundurus has such a good role here as a breaker. Did consider an agility set for a while, but I think the Nasty Plot set's just really fun if he decides, because his team is kind of like two-paced. He can go all bulk or all offense. Like, knowing Koala, I am expecting all offense, like, but at the same time, I cannot discount the fact that he can bring like Iron Defense Bronzong, he can bring like a really fat Umbreon, and like, I just want to be prepared for that eventuality that I need to break in the middle game, and I think Thundurus does really well there. And our last mon is Corviknight, named after the goat Badrinath. If anyone's from TN, shout out the goat. Pretty standard set. Roost, U-turn, Brave Bird, Taunt. I just think that it's a good defensive check, and I think it just claims momentum a lot with the slow U-turns. And I think considering we have double Scarf, it really does help. And having Taunt really helps in this matchup, because it can really taunt his bulkier mons in general, like Umbreon or Bronzong or whatever it is. They do not appreciate being taunted and then giving me momentum, because they just simply don't have the offensive presence as much. And I believe that is probably the best course of action with Corviknight. Like, this is something I mentioned in my draft analysis too. It's like, with Corv and Scarf, with Corv and Kartana, you could really run the same set for 4 weeks in a row and you would not be doing anything wrong with those two mons. But that's gonna be it for the team builder, guys, and I will jump right into the game. Now jumping into the game, guys, I do apologize that I do not have a layout this season, but I don't have a dual display setup right now, and I just don't think I could get that set up in time. So looking at the team Koala he did bring pretty much all out offense. Like, there is no Umbreon, there is no Bronzong, there is no Sandslash, there is a Velux. So we need to scout whether that's Hail Veil, whether that's Specs, whether that's Scarf. Haxorus shows up too, as does Megalop, Dam, Stoice, and Gengar. Personally, I think my lead of choice here being Pangoro is because it's kind of not as valuable here. It really just outspeeds Blastoise, and I think if he leads to try to get up the Veil, I think for one, we can just get rid of the Velux real fast, or if he leads pretty much anything outside, like I can scout for Deegleam on Gengar, I can basically anything other than Haxorus is a good lead for us, because even Lopunny, I'm not too worried because we end up getting Rocky Helmet chip on it, and if he leads Dam, we can take a hit. We can sponge a hit with Manaphy or Uxie. We can probably grab momentum getting Rock Sub. The main thing for me, I think, in this game is going to be I have to out-offense him, get Rock Sub, and not let him spin at any point. But I'm just going to jump right into it. So we lead off with Pangoro, and he does lead the Haxorus. Here, I'm just going to go straight into Uxie because two reasons. One, he does click the close combat, which should have murdered the crap out of Pangoro. But also, if he DD'd, I wasn't too worried. Like, even if he DD'd twice, like, I had enough because, like, he couldn't kill Uxie unless he locks into Outrage, and then he's not going to kill Corviknight. Or the option is also we can still revenge it. I mean, DDing twice is a little bit scary, but I don't expect him to just sit there and DD with the option of, like, me potentially being able to yawn him and T-wave him. There's options when Uxie comes in that you have to think about. But he does click the CC, and he does reveal that he is indeed Life Orb. So here I'm going to get my Rocks up because, again, that was one of our key points before the game. He is going to lock into Outrage and kill us, but I'm going to be honest with you, I am perfectly fine with this. There's a half health Haxorus on the field, I have Rocks up. We've basically eliminated one of his offensive threats, and I'm not too worried about it. Gonna go into cart, just revenge it, pretty standard. The reason I clicked knockoff here, even though Leaf Blade would have killed and Leaf Blade kind of looks better against this team. Is I would rather let in Lopunny at this point than let in Gengar, because I just don't believe Lopunny is as big a threat. Like, letting in Gengar or Dam, like, I don't mind it, but I just don't want it to happen right now. But with Lopunny, I'm not just too scared. I can just go Corviknight and gain momentum. And he does go Lopunny. And going into Corv, he's probably going to click U-turn here. And he does. And he actually takes more damage than he puts out, which is really funny. And he does go into Dam. So here, obviously, my play is to... Pretty much, I lost my Uxie, so my only play is to go Manaphy. And probably scout his item. And Jesus Christ, he is adamant banded Darmanitan. Like, Jesus Christ, that damage. Like, oh my god, that's the most damage Dam's ever done to a Manaphy outside the sun. But here, I'm just going to click the U-turn because I don't expect him to want to give me this straight away right now. And I think he's just going to go hard into Blastoise. It's kind of a safe play for him overall. Because, like, the other thing, again, I mentioned earlier, I cannot let him spin. And I need to keep momentum against this team. So... as he does go, we do call Blastoise, which is nice, and we do U-turn straight into Thundi. Here, I did contemplate clicking Nasty Plot, but I just thought, fuck it, I'm just gonna hit Blastoise, and like, if he wants to give me Blastoise, that's fine. That means rocks are up for the rest of the game, and he doesn't really have a switch-in. With Haxorus dead, that's like his only Thundi resist gone, and it's not like Haxorus was a great switch-in to begin with. So he does go hard into Ice Cream Cone here. I'm not saying its name. And he does take a sizable chunk. But now here, this is an important turn for me right now. Like, I have to decide whether if he's Scarf, obviously was sacking Thundurus, but I don't think Thundurus is really important here anymore. This is like, the main thing is that if he gets up Veil, I am screwing myself. And I really cannot afford to let him get up Veil. If he is Scarf Veil, that's only 3 turns of Veil anyway after this turn, so I'm not too concerned. But the fact that he took Rocks, he's either a choice item or he's Light Clay. And I cannot risk him being Light Clay Veil here. So my play is to stay in and click T-Bolt. And he does Blizzard and kill Thundurus. Here I make the play into Manaphy just to reveal that I am Choice Scarf. I know it's bad to reveal it this early, but like, again, this is kind of like a really offensive game. This is not a game that's going to go past 20 turns, let's be honest. And the other thing is, I could go Cart here, but he has too many Mons, way too healthy for me. And I still haven't scouted the item on Gengar. I just want to get the U-turn off and just get some momentum, really. And we do get rid of Ice Cream Cone, and I just go straight into Cart here, as he does go hard into Gengar, which I assume tells me that he is Scarf. We obviously can't tell if he's a recovery item or anything like that turn 1 when something switches in on rocks. So I'm just gonna go hard into Corv here. Corv should always take a hit. It does have some Spidef, and he clicks Sub, and in my head, alarm bells are ringing off, not in a bad way, in a good way, because all I'm thinking of is Cart just wins now. I just need to get rid of the Sub, and Cart just wins. And because it's just impossible, really, he doesn't have Scarf Dam. It wouldn't matter if he has Scarf Dam, but realistically, he doesn't have a super great way of dealing with Cart. And I just feel like I just have to position Cart at this point. He does Trick Us the Black Sludge, which is actually a really nice bring, which is, I think he did struggle to, well, actually, to be honest, I don't think he struggled to break Corviknight, but yeah. Here I do call his switch because I don't think he wanted to stay in with Gengar and just repeatedly take Chip. Honestly, he could have just kept subbing, but I just felt like, what's the worst case? I U-turn on sub, go into Manaphy, U-turn again? Or go into Manaphy, sack Manaphy, that doesn't matter, like, to break sub. Because at this point, it is just about getting in with Kartana. And we do get the U-turn off on Blastoise and go hard into Kartana. And I just, in my mind, I'm just like, okay, I think I just win at this moment. I'm gonna click the Leaf Blade button. Blastoise should die. Gengar won't take 2, but the problem is that I can get Curse Bodied. And that's the big question. Will I get Curse Bodied? And he goes into Blastoise. We do click the Leaf Blade and Blastoise does drop. We get the first Beast Boost. And he goes Gengar, and Gengar should drop here. The question is, do we get the Curse Body? And nope. So Katana is going to clean here. Picking up 5 kills on the season debut. I did say this in the draft analysis. I think Katana is absolutely insane in this format. GG's to Koala. He was such a goat during scheduling. I had like a really rough week and he was really nice about the whole thing. And I think overall, like, this was a really fun game. Like, I don't think the 4-0 scoreline reflected the positioning that had to go into it, because, like, although I don't think I was really in trouble because of the double scarf. And personally, I just felt like I was using Pangoro as a sack this game after seeing the 6 that he brought, because pretty much his walls all got murdered by it and didn't show up. So I do think the matchup was heavily in our favor, and I do feel like it was always going to be him sort of, like, he sort of had to put me on the back foot, and I just think it just wasn't happening. But GG's to Koala. I think we played Jesse week 2. I have to schedule a game, and probably will end up uploading that in the weekend too, because it looks like the construction crew outdoor has finally like let up on weekends. So I will try to upload that. EDC recaps should be coming soon with Sub-Zero and some of the other mod squad. So I will catch you on that, guys. But that's gonna be it from me. This is TRT77, and this is me signing off.